I'm going to go over the real GDP and price impact due to a certain event in this particular problem. So let's just take a problem number 12 from page 351. So the problem states here, suppose that Congress increased government spending at the same time that the price of imported oil, which is used to manufacture gasoline and heating oil, has increased. In the short run, this would do what? Would it increase or decrease the real GDP? Would it increase or decrease the price? That's the question. So there are two things that are happening at the same time. Economy is presumably in recession, so the Congress wants to stimulate the economy, so the government could be spending more money to stimulate the economy. At the same time, oil price is shooting up for some reason due to some event. For example, like the Ukrainian-Russian war escalation that's going on right now. That could potentially increase the oil price in the Middle East. Ukraine itself has natural gas and oil, so all those prices would go up. So the raw material to produce product has gone up. So given this event and the government activity to stimulate economy, what would happen to real GDP and price? Well, to do that, we'll just do our regular supply and demand curve for the aggregate demand and aggregate supply. So I would draw one of these things. I'll choose a black color. Alright, let's just draw our aggregate demand and supply curve. So that would be plotted against consumer price index versus real GDP. You would normally have an aggregate demand that's going on today. Let's call it 81. And we have an aggregate supply curve. Let's call that aggregate supply 1, and the market is probably clearing about here some GDP and some consumer price index. Now, government is wanting to increase the GDP, so they decided to stimulate the economy by spending more money from the government's perspective. So they've shifted the aggregate demand curve to 82. If nothing else happened, that would have actually increased the GDP to here, and the price would have gone up a little bit. But at the same time, there is another event took place. That is the oil price shooting up due to, let's say, the Ukraine-Russia escalation. Well, now the supply curve has to shift because oil price is high, so every product that we produce using oil, gasoline, jet fuel, any manufacturing, everything uses oil to produce. So the cost of producing things are going up. So the supply curve would actually now shift left. You would go to AS2. So now the market is clearing between the AS2, the new supply curve, and the new demand curve stimulated by the government. They clear here. So by looking at this picture, it looks like the prices are going up. Maybe perhaps the GDP just kind of increased a little bit. But that is the way I drew the demand curve shift. I could have shifted the demand curve only up to here. Then it would look like the GDP actually decreased. And I could have easily made my supply curve shift way far here. That would actually decrease the GDP. So it's very hard to tell what's really going on between price and GDP. So one of the things that I gave you as a tips is to figure that out, is to figure out the direction in which it's moving. So let's look at the demand curve. That moved from here to here. It moved in a direction of north and east. The supply curve is moving this direction. It's moving north and west. So one thing that's common in both shifts is they are moving north. That means price is going up. Price for sure is going up. I can say that. But in terms of the east and west, one is moving east, one is moving west. So I don't know which way things are going to go. Is it going to go west or is it going to go east more? What's the question? I don't know. So Real GDP is uncertain. Real GDP impact is kind of uncertain. It's uncertain. So the answer to this question would be increase both the price and GDP. No. Increase the price, but I don't know about the GDP. Reduce price. No, that's definitely not the case. Increase the price, but the impact on real GDP is uncertain. Yeah, I like that one. So the answer should be 12. For 12, the answer is C. Increase real GDP? No, we don't know that. And the price impact is uncertain. No, price impact is certain. It's going north. So 12C is my answer.